Right, so in this video, I'm going to share the easiest and also the most reliable way to break into a saturated niche on YouTube. I'm talking finance, health, beauty, personal development, all those super competitive, but also really lucrative niches. Because yeah, you can get lucky and have your first video go viral in a saturated space, but that's not how most of the big YouTubers you watch today made it. Most of them spend months, if not years, being insanely consistent, developing their skills, or even building an audience on another platform before blowing up on YouTube. And you might be thinking, who's this girl and why should I listen to her? Which is a fair question. And the answer is because I've done it myself. When I started my channel back in 2020, nobody knew who I was or cared about my advice. Fast forward to now, I can make a video about my productivity system or how I plan my week with Notion, and thousands of people watch it. Now, this didn't happen by accident. I followed a process. There were 3 key things I did to break into a competitive niche like personal development, and I'm gonna walk you through them in this video. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do to break into a saturated niche on YouTube is to give people some context. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you've got loads of competition, one of the best ways to stand out and get people to actually listen to you is by sharing a little bit more about you, by giving people a little bit of background, about your life, your values, and your story to help them feel like you are the right person to be talking about whatever topic you talk about on your YouTube channel. That's exactly what I did with my channel. I didn't jump straight into content about productivity, time management, or personal development. No one would have listened because I hadn't built that trust yet. Instead, my first few videos were very, very specific. They were about my experience studying medicine in Barcelona and Stockholm. Then over time, that evolved into more general videos about studying. And here's the key. Once people knew that I was a medical student, they trusted my study tips like automatically. And then they started to learn more about me, that I was still getting good grades with not so much sacrifice, that I was gymming regularly, that I was spending time with my friends and family, and also that I had a shitty part-time job. And organically, people started asking, how do you do it all? How do you manage your time? And just like that, I started making those videos, answering those questions. And one day I woke up and I had a channel in the personal development and productivity space, one of the most competitive niches out there. That's what I mean by giving people context. Now, other YouTube gurus will call it niching down, but it's not quite the same because you can niche down and solve very specific problems. But if you never share who you are and all the other things that you do that you're passionate about, you're going to stay stuck in that tiny niche. You'll miss out on opportunities to grow because people won't have a reason to get curious about you. Look at Ali Abdaal, for example. He gave people a lot of context early on. His main thing was helping students prepare for med school exams in the UK, sure, but he also made vlogs, shared his passion for music, and brought his personality and experiences into his videos. Same thing with Alex Hormozi, Nisha, Jay Hoovy, all creators in competitive spaces who build trust by letting people in. And that's not all. Context is also what makes your channel unique. That's why when I work with clients on their YouTube strategy, one of the first few things that we look at is what makes them different, which leads me nicely to my next point. You have to figure out what makes you different. What can you offer your viewers that no one else can? And usually it's not just one thing, it's a combination of things. For me, it was the fact that I could speak English, and because of my medical background, I could actually understand and break down scientific studies. So whenever I gave a recommendation within personal development, I would back it up with research, and I would show those studies on screen and also link them in the description for anyone who wanted to read them. This is something I still do to this day, and it's no longer as unique as it was in the Spanish-speaking market back in 2020, but even now, I still get the occasional comment appreciating it. Jeff Nippert is another example. He did the exact same thing. He was one of the first fitness creators to back up his content with science. And so did Natasha Sian, but in her case, she also added insane experiments on top of that. Now, what could be your unique edge? Maybe it's your experience. If you've been in an industry for years, that's something that your competitors can't fake. Or maybe it's your skills, your methods, your personality. Even your age or gender might give you a unique angle depending on the niche. Whatever it is, start with a bit of competitor research, see what other people are doing, and find the thing you bring to the table that others in your niche can't easily replicate. Then build your channel around that. Now, this one's more of a long game, so the earlier you start, the better, but trust me, it's so worth it. When my channel was tiny, most of my views came from search, although I didn't actually realize that at the time. All my videos about studying medicine at my uni were basically search content. Whenever prospective medical students were researching where to study in Spain, they would come across my videos on Google. And since I went to one of the top 3 medical schools in the country, I would get a lot of traffic. But I didn't realize how powerful this strategy was until I made another search-based video, a ranking of the best countries to be a doctor. That was my first viral video. And I say viral in quotation marks because it got like 10,000 views. But when you've got 67 subscribers, 10k views feel like you've made it. So yeah, let me have that. Anyway, these videos were slow burners. They didn't take off right away, but they kept getting views for years. Even after I enlisted them a few months ago, which I did because I rebranded my channel, in case you're curious, they're still getting views because people have the links. Like, they're enlisted, they're not even on my channel, but those videos are still getting views. So how do you use search to grow in a competitive niche? Well, the key is to start small. Let's say you're in fitness and you want to talk about weight loss. If you go for something very generic like how to lose weight, forget it. Like, no one's ever going to find your video. Not because it's not good, but because it's going to get lost in a sea of millions of videos on the same topic and with the same title. Now, compare that to weight loss tips for people recovering from a BBL, or losing weight with a condition like polycystic ovaries. Yes, the target audience for those videos is going to be smaller because most people will never have a BBL, thank God for that, but you're also going to have way less competition. And if you become the go-to person in that micro niche, you'll get way more traction early on. The goal is to own a small space and then expand. You don't have to start this way, but honestly, it's one of the most reliable ways to grow. I've done it. Tons of creators have done it. Catherine Manning, for example, used to talk about blogging. Then she pivoted to YouTube growth and eventually to vlogs and content about being a mom. If she had started her channel talking about motherhood, it would have been way more difficult for her to grow. Tina Huang is another example. Her early stuff was all about data science. Now she makes more varied videos, but her authority started in that specific niche. Same thing with Easy Sealy. She clearly wanted to break into personal development like her husband, Ali Abdaal, but the videos that took off for her were about learning Chinese. So she became the Chinese girl for a bit, then the British English girl, until she became better known and built the authority to talk about studying in general and later personal development. But even now, if you look closely, her most viewed videos are still the ones that show up in search. So yeah, as I said, this is a long-term strategy, but it works. And the way to start is by making content about specific questions that people are already Googling. Do that and you'll see your channel grow steadily and reliably over time. And bonus points, you're going to be helping people and building authority along the way, which doesn't hurt, I guess. Do you have any other tips for breaking into a saturated niche on YouTube? Let me know in the comments. I've actually got one more tip, and it's another long game: building your personal brand. If this is something you'd like to work on but you don't know where to start, don't worry, I've got you. I cover all the basics in this video here. I'll see you there.